Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today is the fourth video in the series about covering the basics of what to do when you're learning to drive and the topics that you'll cover. And today's a big one. It's roundabouts. Don't forget, if you haven't already checked out the other videos in the series, I'll link the playlist up here and the other videos. Going to be really helpful if you've already watched the video on MSPSL, as it features quite heavily today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me feel like I'm doing it to help people out, and I can see people are getting something from it. What we're going to cover, different types of roundabouts. So we've got a standard roundabout, as it were, a spiral roundabout, and a mini roundabout. Those are the three main types of roundabout that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about your routine. So we've already said we're going to use MSPSL. We're going to talk about lane selection, and very often that's where people get wrong at a roundabout and panic, or I don't know what lane I've got to be in, don't know where I've got to position the car, and it's the biggest point. But hopefully we're going to try and make it quite simple and straightforward for you. We'll talk about what to do when you get it wrong. So, well, if I'm in the wrong lane, what should I do? Where should I go? What's the safest thing to do? And it's important to remember with this video that this is going to give you a basic framework of what you should be doing and what you should be thinking about when you're approaching a roundabout. This isn't necessarily going to give you all the answers for every single roundabout. It's going to be really important that you apply this to the majority of roundabouts that you go to, but you're going to need to learn there's always a tricky roundabout, at least one in an area that you live in and one in the test area that you'd probably be taking your test in. So it's important that you understand how that roundabout that maybe doesn't completely conform to all of these rules and that we would normally go with a normal roundabout. So important you understand that, but this should give you a good framework. Okay, so we'll start with the three types of roundabouts. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a standard roundabout. Now, it will look something like this picture that I'm going to put up now. It's not... Motorbike was loud. This is not going to be the only type of standard roundabout, but this works really well for explaining the basics on. And this sort of roundabout very often doesn't have more than one lane when you come up to the end of the roundabout, and usually it's got fairly few exits, and the roundabout itself isn't huge and complicated, so just kind of a standard nice basic roundabout, the one that the majority of my roundabouts will look like. You've got a mini roundabout, which is the same thing. So it's just still a roundabout, so all the same things will apply, but obviously it's just smaller. Those are the little painted discs that most people just drive straight over. We've also got a spiral roundabout. Now a spiral roundabout looks like this and is, to look at, a bit of a mind bender at times. When you understand how these work, in theory they should be a lot easier to use, and I'll explain about how and what we do with those, how we deal with those and what we do with them. So with that standard roundabout, the basic 4 exits, as hopefully you could see the 4 exits on the roundabout, generally you might find that there's not many road markings there. So you've got a left and a head and a right on the roundabout. Without any road markings, you should be able to see where you need to position the car from some faint lines that are part of the road. On the road surface, you might see a faint darker line, and that if there is more than one lane on the roundabout, that will help you know where the car needs to be positioned. Mini roundabouts are exactly the same as a standard roundabout. Like I said, they're just smaller, and often where they're smaller, you just need to go slower. You've got less space, so you're going to need to go a little bit slower to go around that roundabout. And with a mini roundabout, it's super important that you still go around it as much as you possibly can. You have to think, if 2 people are going right at a mini roundabout and they both cross across it, drive over the roundabout, they're going to drive into each other, and we want to avoid that. Obviously that's only going to end one way eventually. That'll end in an accident. And spiral roundabouts, so with these it's really important that you can pick the lane that you know you're going to need. These are more often than not signed on the floor, written on the floor, or signposted. So you might have a lane marking on the floor that tells you which direction it's going and what area it's going to. So you pick that lane, and then you don't cross your lines to the left or the right of you. You follow your dotted lines round, you follow your lane markings round, and you'll find that they push you away from the roundabout, and then they push you off at the exit you want to go in. Routine at a roundabout. So hopefully you've seen the other video on MSPSL. I'll link that video up above us now. So you should be able to, you should have watched that. It will really, really help. Stands for mirrors, signal, position, speed in gear, and your final look. Really important that last bit where it says it's your final look. It doesn't mean that you're not doing any looking on the approach to either the junction or the roundabout. It's just that that's your final check to say, can I go, can't I go? So if everything is still safe and clear, your final check is just, yeah, I'm still safe, I'm going to go. Basic rules of a roundabout as well. Well, we'll talk about that before we get any more into detail into the MSPSL. Basic rule, the biggest basic rule, is we give way to the right. So anything coming from our right and anything already on the roundabout will give way to. So it's important that you do really solid observations all the way while you're approaching the roundabout to the right, and that your final check to the right is good and strong to make sure it's still safe for you to go. That said, it's important that you don't ignore everything to your left and in front of you, because if you're just staring out the window, checking, is it clear to the right, and you miss that the traffic to your left on the junction you're going out and into, has stopped because someone's crossing the road, you could very easily drive in the back of somebody. As we approach a roundabout, we're going to check our mirrors. So depending on which way we're going is going to depend on which mirrors we're checking. So we're going to take the left at the roundabout. You get from your examiner or your instructor, at the roundabout, I'd like you to turn left, or at the roundabout, I'd like you to go left first exit. So once you've got that instruction of turning to the left, you're going to check your interior and your left door mirror. If you were going ahead at the roundabout, so your instruction would have been, at the roundabout, I'd like you to follow the road ahead, or ahead second exit, or whichever exit number it might be. This is where we need to talk about position as well. So ahead is where things can go a little bit astray normally at a roundabout, with people getting in the wrong lanes. So you need to know your position and how you're going to position the car before you check your mirrors, but before you make your move to make your position, because you don't want to move the car to take the position if it's not safe. So if you know you have to be in the left-hand lane, so for going ahead at a roundabout, unless the road markings or road signs tell you otherwise, you stay to the left. So no road markings, no signs, so you're going to go left-hand lane to go ahead. Check your mirrors to the left. If you have to take the right-hand lane because the road is painted, then check your mirrors to the right, so interior and right. If you were then told at the next roundabout you were going to go right at the roundabout, third exit, or right, just turn right at the roundabout, you will have to then check your interior and your right mirror. So that's the M of MSPSL done. Signal. So with your signal, you go in left, you've checked your mirrors, then you're going to indicate left. If you were going right at the roundabout, you'd check your mirrors and you would indicate to the right on approach to the roundabout. If you're going ahead, you don't indicate. There is no ahead indicator. Your options at a roundabout generally are left, right, or ahead. So if you're not indicating left and you're not indicating right, people are going to assume that you're going ahead. And the fact that you're not signalling is giving people a signal that this is what you intend to do. That said as well, when you are approaching a roundabout, you see a car that's not indicating, you're going to have to assume that they are going to be going ahead, which means they're going to be coming across in front of you if they're coming from your right, from the junction to your right. If they're coming from ahead and they're not indicating, this is where you've got to be careful. This is where you should be able to assume they're going to be going straight on. So if they're coming from ahead, they should be coming down your lane, down your road. But just be really careful. If you see them slow a little bit more, it might mean they're coming further round. So just be cautious of it, but that's what it generally means. So that's why you don't want to approach a roundabout too fast, because if you just approach, say, oh, they're not indicating I'm going to go, you could cause a problem. Whenever we leave a roundabout as well, when we're signalling, we need to signal left to leave a roundabout. We always signal to the left to leave a roundabout. So when we're turning to the left, your indicator just stays on and you come off the roundabout. When you go ahead onto the roundabout without your signal on, you follow the roundabout around. As you go past the exit to your left, you check your mirrors and signal left. I'm going to go through and give some driving examples of these, so you'll see out the front, and I'll talk through when I'm going to indicate. And same when you're turning right. You'd indicate right as you're coming around the roundabout. The junction before the one you're going to take, check your mirrors to the left, signal left, and move the car over. So position, we've already touched on it briefly with going ahead. If you go into the left, treat it like the end of a road left. So video that we talked about on it emerging from a junction, if you were to watch that, and I'll link that one up above us as well, that gives you an idea of how you position the car at the end of a road. Same thing with a roundabout, keep it to the left-hand side. If you're going ahead, no markings, left-hand lane. If it's marked and there's more than one lane, pick the lane that's marked for ahead. If there's only one lane at the roundabout, then kind of centralise yourself in the lane. Positioning for the right, again, to the right hand end of the road. If there's only one lane at the roundabout, if there's two, the right hand lane, and if it's marked that there's more than one that you could go right in, then pick whichever one for you feels like the right lane. Speed and gear. So for me, in general, second gear is going to be fine for a roundabout. Roundabouts are much more open than the end of a road, where you may need to slow down to first gear very often. But if you slow down into second gear, because a roundabout's much more open and you can see hazards a lot more, as long as you've slowed down enough and you're in second gear, that should give you all the time you need to make your assessments, to be constantly looking at the roundabout. Can I go? Have I got a gap? Whatever, to then be able to keep moving. What you don't want to do is carry too much speed, then slow down because you can't see, then something happens because you didn't see it happen properly, and you stop soon, sooner than you want to, or you stop because you can't see. Rather, you stop because you can't see and you can't make a good judgment on what's going on, and then that's unnecessary, and then you hold people up, and then we get in a big a panic because, oh, I've stopped and I shouldn't have done, and then I've got to go for first gear, and now I've got to go and I'll make sure I don't want to stall, and you've made a whole big scenario that didn't need to happen. Take your time, slow down, second gear, make some good observations. If you then have to stop, you can just squeeze the brake pedal a little harder, clutch down, first gear, and go when you've got a gap. And then your final look. So we've said we give way to the right as we're approaching a roundabout and as we're going to join a roundabout. It's important that just before you pull out, you do your final check to the right, just check to the left, and a right again. So like a right, left, right check just before you pull out, just to make sure that things are still good and safe to go based on the judgments you've made on approach to the roundabout. So key to getting roundabouts done well is good routine. If you leave all of that to the last minute, you've got too much to do, something's going to give. You're either not going to look properly, probably, and then you're going to pull out and try and go when the gap doesn't exist. You're going to be going too quick. You're not going to have time to make a decision, so you're going to brake heavily and stop, and then you're going to stop because you don't know what you should be doing, or you've misjudged your gap and you stop when you didn't need to, not because you didn't know then, but because you've approached so fast you didn't know if your gap was going to be good or not, and it all goes a bit wrong. So take your time, slow yourself down, make a good decision. And this is probably, if you take no more away from this video than this next sentence, this next bit I'm going to talk about, is what to do when it goes wrong. You approach a roundabout, you've been told to go ahead, but you're in the left-hand lane. Just go wrong, go completely wrong. Make sure you've done your checks and you've indicated properly, but go the way the lane is telling you. If the lane's telling you can only turn left, then just turn left. If you're on your test, you won't fail for doing that, providing you've done it safely. It's important to do things safely, and that's the most important thing. So if you're in the wrong lane, you don't fail for going the wrong way. You will be turned around. The examiner will turn you around, get you back onto route. But if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Just go fully wrong. Just don't even try and save it. Just go the wrong way of the roundabout and just say, I'm really sorry, I got in the wrong lane there. And they'll get you back to route. I mean, they might not be very happy about it, but you won't and shouldn't fail for doing that. A couple of little other things just to add in. So, signs when you're approaching a roundabout. You'll get a warning triangle for a standard roundabout. It will look like this. Red triangle, 3 curved lines inside it that look like arrows. It means it's a normal roundabout. The other type of sign that you might see is a mini roundabout sign. And that looks like this. So it's the blue circle with the same sort of arrows inside it. And that means it's a mini roundabout. Keep your eyes peeled for those signs. So what we'll do is we're going to get moving and we're going to get the car out and about and around some roundabouts. There is, when you're out on roundabouts, something that I would refer to as a blocker. So remember, we give way to the right, which then means the car to our right is giving way to their right. And if they have to do that, you might see them approach and slow down to a stop. It probably means there's something coming further around the roundabout. As long as that's far enough away, they're blocking that person from coming in front of you, so you should then be able to go. It's important that you've been paying attention to the roundabout, not just as you get to it. So like we said, observing all the way up to it. So make sure you're paying attention to that so you can see that guy's slowing down. Okay, they've probably got something blocking them. Yeah, I've got enough time, I'm going to go now. Rather than leaving everything to the last minute and you wouldn't see what you needed to see. We should see some examples of that, and we're going to drive around now and have a look at some roundabouts and what they look like in real life. So hopefully you can notice the camera at the front is pointing off slightly to the right, so you should get a view of what I'm looking at here. So we're approaching this roundabout and we're going to turn left. So mirrors to the left, signal left, down to second gear. I'm positioning the car over the left hand side. So I'm checking to the right, it looks clear. Just one more to the left, one more to the right, nice and clear, and round I go. So by slowing down there, hopefully you can see I slowed down sufficiently that it gave me loads of time. I'm giving myself time by slowing down to make a decision. If you approach too quickly, you just don't, you're taking all that time away. Okay, so you have to remember that speed and time are linked. The faster you're going, so the more speed you've got, the less time you've got. So, and the slower you're going, the more time you're giving yourself. You need to make a balance between the two, but if you just go too fast too often, you've got no time to make any decisions, and that's very often where going too fast is then slower overall because you've stopped, because you don't feel safe, so you stop. It will feel like there's a lot to do when you first do roundabouts, and there's a lot to take on board. There is, but it's important that you're looking at the appropriate stuff when you're paying attention to the appropriate information, and not just paying attention to trying to look at everything. You do that and you won't have a chance. So remember, like I said, this is not going to give you the answers to everything, to every roundabout by you, but what this should do is give you a good basic grounding, so that when you do approach a roundabout that you don't know, which will often be out of an area that you're used to, you have an understanding of what you should be doing basically, so that then it's not a huge panic and your attention can then switch to, right, what do I need to do here? What's the road sign telling me? What's the lane marking telling me? Right, okay, this is telling me here. And I've remembered now that actually, if I'm in the wrong lane, I'm just going to go where I should go, where this lane's taking me. I can always turn around and come back to the roundabout and go again. Okay, so we're coming up to the roundabout and we're going to take the first exit at the roundabout to the left, or left at the roundabout first exit. So mirrors and signal. Positioning the car to the left-hand lane, not too close to the curb, but close enough. Check to the right, nothing there. Check left, right one more time, and off we go. Okay, so we're coming up to the roundabout again, and this time my instruction is at the roundabout we're going to follow the road ahead, or ahead at the roundabout second exit. So I've checked my mirrors to the left because there's no road markings or signs telling me otherwise that I need to be onto the right. Check to the right, there's a car coming, hopefully you can see that. After it is clear, check one more time to the left, make sure nothing was coming out in front of me. Stay away from the roundabout, mirrors and signal left now as I leave the roundabout. So ahead at the roundabout, second exit. So I check my mirrors left because there's no road markings telling me otherwise. Checking to the right already, nothing going on. Good, nice and clear. Stay away from the roundabout, mirrors and signal now as I'm passing that exit to my left. And left to leave the roundabout. Okay, so approaching the roundabout again. We're going to go right at the roundabout, third exit. Okay, so we're going to hit mirrors to the right, signal right. Down in the second gear, bring that clutch back up, so it helps me slow down. Just checking to the right again, looks all clear. Once to the left just to make sure. And then we get close to the roundabout, come round, mirrors left, signal left now, just before we leave the roundabout so everyone knows where we're going. What you will find that can become frustrating with roundabouts is that other people may not always indicate as early as they maybe should, so you're kind of left guessing a little bit as to where people are going to go, and it can be really frustrating. You'll go, I could have gone then if I'd have known where they were going. So you've got to remember, if that's what you're seeing in other people, then that's what, and it's frustrating you. If you don't do it, you're going to frustrate other people. So you can see we've got another roundabout coming here. We're going to go right again. So mirrors and signal to the right. Into the right hand lane this time because there's two lanes. In second gear already. Clear to the right. Check left quickly. And back onto the roundabout because it was clear to the right. So we stay close to the roundabout in the right hand lane. This is the exit before. So check mirrors left. Signal left to leave the roundabout. And start to move the car out and away from the roundabout. There we go. So we're away and we're clear of the roundabout. Important that you don't leave your move away from the roundabout to the very last minute, otherwise you'll cut across in front of somebody, and that's not going to be the best move in the world. Okay, so we've moved away from that basic roundabout now. Now these aren't necessarily going to be hugely busy, but they're slightly different. So this one we're coming up to here, our left-hand turn, which we're going to take, is almost straight on, but it's on an angle from the roundabout. You'll see it when we get there. So we're going to go left at the roundabout first exit, so mirrors and signal left. Also notice there's a speed change at a roundabout there. So we check to the right's clear, ahead is clear, just one more time. You know, it's just almost straight on, but still important to indicate to the left. Still important to signal left, because that's where you're going. It's the left exit. I know I mentioned that speed change there. You won't always, just because there's a roundabout doesn't mean there's going to be a speed change. Very often I've learners go around roundabouts and you'll come out the other side and they'll go 30 miles an hour when the road was 40 before, and there's been no speed limit change. Now, if a speed limit's going to change, it's very common for it to change at a roundabout, but it doesn't mean it will be. Just because there's been a roundabout doesn't mean there's a speed change. There's sometimes roundabouts in dual carriageways, so if it's a national speed limit dual carriageway, doesn't mean it's any different. The roundabout coming up, but we're going to go left first exit. So 4 exit roundabout, 2 lanes, so we're going to stay to the left. We can see the road markings. Usually busy from the right hand side here, so I'm just going to check to the right, nice and clear. Checking the roundabout again, still clear at the roundabout, and round I go. So as we approach this roundabout here, we're going to go ahead, and ahead is in the right hand lane here. So going ahead, check my mirrors to the right, because I know I'm going in the right hand lane. You can see the road marking now, down in the second gear. So I'm checking to the right. There's people on the roundabout, but he's coming next to me, so I can go. And because the right hand lane is what I joined the roundabout on, I stay close to the roundabout, check my mirrors left, and start to move the car out once I've indicated. Once you've checked and once you've indicated, then you're good to move the car out. Don't just move the car, then do your mirrors and your signal. It's not just there as a tick box, because if it was, you'd have just ticked the wrong boxes there because you did it in the wrong order. It's there to check, am I safe to move around? Am I safe to move over? So we're coming up to the roundabout again. This time we're going to go right at the roundabout. It's third exit. So I've checked my mirrors to the right. We can see 2 lanes, so right hand lane. Down in the second gear. Picked my position already. Checking the roundabout. Is that one coming round? No, he's leaving the roundabout. So I can go on to the roundabout. Indicator just dropped off. Stay close to the roundabout. So this is the exit before mine. So we check my mirrors left, signal left, and then start to move the car out to take the exit. Okay, so we're approaching a mini roundabout here. Hopefully you can spot the blue sign, just the left hand side of the roundabout there. We're going to turn right here, so I've checked my mirrors to the right, signal right. You can notice that the roundabout isn't very big. It's only bricks in the floor here. So around we come, mirrors and signal to the left, and on you go. So you still need to do all your indications at a mini roundabout. So another mini roundabout coming. Hopefully the sign is visible as well to the left. So we're going to go left at this mini roundabout. So mirrors and signal left. Still positioning the car to the left. Still got to check to the right. I can't see a lot. Bit obscured by bushes. Good. It's good and clear, and on I can go. So again, I didn't stop entirely. Just slowed right down to give myself time. And that's what you're doing. You want to give yourself time for everything. So we're going to go right at the roundabout here at the end of the road. So mirrors and signal right. Position myself just slightly further right than that van has. So I'm slowing down and checking. I'm going to go first gear because I can't see. It looks nice and clear. No one else on the roundabout has moved. So I'm going to go around. It was clear from my right. It was clear for me to go. And I still went around the roundabout. Now the temptation there is to just cut across it. And like I said, they're there. Mini roundabouts aren't just there just because they want to be difficult. They are there because potentially some roads might struggle to join other roads because the way the traffic flows, and they may also be there to slow people down. Sometimes they are used as a traffic calming method. So you might find a long straight road and there's a T-junction that might be a bit tricky to come out of as well, and they'll put a roundabout at the end of the T-junction so it's easier for people to get out and to slow everyone down. Okay, at this roundabout we're going to, technically it's turning right at the roundabout, third exit, but it looks like ahead, so it's the road that's directly in front of us. So right at the roundabout, so right hand lane, right mirrors, right hand lane, right signal. Road looks clear. That guy's blocked the guy over there, so I know he's not going to be a problem to me. Mirrors and signal left, and then off into the left hand lane. So we stay left unless we're turning right. General rule of driving, stay left unless you're turning right. Okay, so again, we're approaching the roundabout here. This one's usually fairly busy, and this should identify, or help, these next few should help us identify when we've got people blocking that allow us to go. So we're going to go right at the roundabout third exit. So mirrors and signal. Position myself to the right, there's 2 lanes, down into second gear as well. Position's still good. Slowing right down, so can I go? Can I go? Can I go? Yes, I can go. It's clear to the right, nothing coming either. Roundabout ahead is clear. Nice and steady around the roundabout. Watching for the keep clears, mirrors and signal left to leave. And this time we're going to follow the road ahead at the roundabout. So I'm going to follow the road ahead, second exit. So check my mirrors. On this roundabout, I don't know if you can see the road sign, but ahead is the right hand lane. So check my mirrors to the right. No signal, position in the right hand lane. Slowing down, so I'm checking the roundabout. Is it all clear? It looks good, still clear, nothing coming from the right. That car's blocked us anyway. The black car blocks the traffic from my right, even if there was something coming. Okay, so we're coming up to quite a big roundabout now. And now big is where people start to get scared. But again, this roundabout only has 4 exits, but it is a spiral roundabout. Part of the 3 of the 4 exits are traffic light controlled. The one that we are going to approach from is not. So we're going to pick the lane that we need, and I'll show you how it takes us off the roundabout. So we're going to go right at the roundabout third exit, signposted Leon Solon. So mirrors and signal right. I know I'm going to be in the right hand lane because I know I'm going right. You can see that looks like I've got a gap. It's good and clear. Good. And I'll go close to the roundabout. Lane marked for Leon Solon. Stay close to the roundabout again, not crossing any lines to our left or right. I'm now in the lane for Leon Solon. Siren. Pay attention to where that's coming from. It's behind us and it's gone. Okay, so now we just wait patiently at these lights. Seeing the light in front of us is red. It's been red for a little while, so make sure I'm in first gear. And we can see, so from here, the lane, our left lane marking is the thick dotted line. I'll put an arrow towards it. That's the line that we're going to stay close to. The lane starts to come out, still going towards Leon Solon, and spirals us out. So now, when we joined the roundabout, we were close to it. Now we're as far away as the lanes allow us to go. We're coming off at the next exit, so this is an ideal opportunity to put my indicator on. Just watching the traffic light. There we go. On we go. And leave the roundabout. Now, at no point during that roundabout did I have to change lanes or cut across in front of anybody. I just follow where the lanes are pushing me. That then gets me to where I need to be. Okay, so that just about wraps us up now. Remember, so the big things to take away from this with roundabouts is take your time, slow yourself down, give yourself time, follow your routine, and make sure you've got a good gap to go. Check for blockers, make sure if you've done your good observations, you're going to know it's safe to go. For me, what I see that would be the biggest issue that many learners face with roundabouts is that they just try and do everything too quickly. Things that everyone's expecting them to go. They think, oh, I need to go because everyone needs me to get out of their way. Yeah, they probably do, and they probably do want you to go. But you're better to go once, slowly, and go, than try and go too quick, stop, stall, panic, fluster, stall again. So take your time, find your gap, commit to it, and go. Like I said, this video won't cover everything to do with roundabouts, and there will still be issues that you might find, and roundabouts that need a certain amount of explaining. Well, in the area that you live in or the area where you're taking your test. But this hopefully has given you a good framework to start with and get going with, so that you know when you approach those roundabouts, you've got the time, you've got the knowledge of what you need to do whilst you're approaching that roundabout. You've got that time now to think, right, where do I need to position, where do I need to go, and then from there on you apply the rest. You apply what we've just talked about, and that will take you through it. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, and it was good and informative for you. Again, please do subscribe, and do like the video as well. I welcome any comments. I'll reply to as many as I can, depending on obviously if there's only 1 or 2 comments, then that's nice and easy for me to reply to. But I'll do my best to reply to comments as they come through. Also, if you've just started to learn to drive and you've not done roundabouts before, like I say, hopefully this has helped. If you've already been driving, and just let me know what's the things that you struggle with the most. What is it that you struggle with the most, and we can have a conversation about that. Or I can, if there's enough that comes out of it, I can do another video that might help you and help a lot of other people. Yeah, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.